Alright, anyways. Trying to get the camera to work. Kind of buggy, there we go. So no one wants to see this shit right here, so let's do this. Increase that. There we go. I was looking at the Jewish space later shit, and then I was like thinking a little bit, change this filter about space and whatnot. And I was like, well, you could do it all on electricity eventually, right? Just want to see how this looks real quick. Alright, you can see like where I had the cosmetic lasers right here. It's still coming in like gradually my skin color, my natural skin color right here. And as it was cranked all the way up because he was a vet, or like that, and I got a really good deal. So it's like a $2,000 treatment. I pay $5, but I've been going there for a long time. I used to pay $2,000. Now I just pay $5. But I think now I'm just gonna get derma roller or whatever, and so that's why I have like smooth skin, like porcelain smooth skin, whatever, you know what I'm talking about. So, but it just takes a few months for the color to come back in. But then I'll just use a derma roller. Might go back a few times. I don't know. But hold up. I think I just flipped something I didn't want to flip. I'll figure it out later. Okay, there we go. So I could get rid of some of this, man, by going like that. That should do some of it. But there it is. So that's the edge of the screen right there. I could just, there we go. You can see the table. Cut a little bit more of it out. So, you know, I was looking at space later. I was like, man, why don't we get some like cool shit? You know, like space travel. Everyone wants to know about cool shit. You know, like not conspiracy, Nazi, hate your neighbor shit, right? Close down my tabs. Maybe that make it a little bit better. So I was thinking about space travel, right? You know, like how are we gonna fly in space? You know, we can't always use chemical rockets. You know, have oxygen and hydrogen, right? And then you combine it, you make water. I mean, it shoots out. That's what rocket fuel is, right? Oxygen and hydrogen shoots out, explodes, and then falls down as water and shit like that. So you see this big cloud of water vapor coming out. So that's what that is, right? But you know, combine it, it makes this big. So that's how you're gonna fly in space, right? But you need this powerful thing to escape Earth's gravity, and you could do that with, electricity too, I mean, eventually. So how do you go about doing that? I have all these lights on. All right, don't worry, I'm gonna get a better camera. Um, how do you go about doing that? Well, Elon Musk is doing aviation technology, flying on batteries right now. We already have battery powered or solar powered flight or whatever, right? So we could do that, and it'll be a lot lighter because solar energy. Right now, the batteries are basically the bottleneck or whatever. So once you increase that technology, increase in our ability to take off, we could lift, right? And then we already know that what ramjet technology could do. So you have a plane, you have that takeoff, and then you know how like you have a turboprop, and you have what a jet engine is really like a encapsulated prop engine, right? And then it, like on a jet ski, it takes in a lot of air and it shoots it out the back, right? So that geonomical configuration of compression or forced air or whatever, and then they inject a little bit of fuel and explodes out the back or whatever, right? So that's a jet engine. So we can do whatever, right? And have enough powerful, a powerful enough engine that could withstand the stresses or whatever, right? But the thing about it is, like, you'll get to the point where you won't have the added weight of the fuel to take off, because it'll just be electricity, and you get the battery power down, these really powerful batteries, and the torque on those engines, right? So you have basically this pure thrust in taking air, right? And you can press it down and shoot at the back, right? So now you got the forward thrust, whatever, right? You get to the point where you'll take in so much air that the normal oxygen within the air, whatever, you could just spark up, right, and it'll explode out, whatever, because you could just ignite that oxygen up, right? So you have that, and so that's basically almost like a hybrid turboprop engine or whatever, right? And then once you get up to that speed, right, of that normal electricity driven thrust combined with that ramjet engine, right? You have more oxygen that's stored into that tank, right? You have a tank within this plane, so you have like valves and shit like that just keeps shoving in oxygen. More atmosphere, really, right? And then you got to figure out how you could separate the nitrogen and just keep oxygen in there, right? So you take off with no fuel, whatever, right? And the thing about it is, you're like, well, if you're taking oxygen, now you're taking in added weight. Well, technically, it will be heavier weight, it's not good because you have a lot of compressed oxygen, but instead, it's still in its gaseous state, right? So all you're trying to do, you take off on the regular turboprop, on the jet engine, right? And then the ramjet will take you up even further, right? And then all of a sudden, you want to get to the level where you just keep scooping in oxygen. Once you have enough fuel, that's when you break Earth's gravity. Just shoot the straight fuck up, right? So now you take it off. So you get like a third of the way there, another third of the way there, and then you just break Earth's gravity, right? So that's how you do that shit. And it's going to be a lot lighter than a rocket because you're not taking off with any fuel. You know what I'm talking about? So it can be done with just pure electricity. And then you can even go a step further, right? Before I get to once you take off to Earth gravity, you have like this you have the space station up there. I'll leave that alone for a second. Now on the moon, right? Because you'll get to the moon, but I'll leave the interplanetary travel for a second, right? Now on the moon, you have a lot of oxygen. You have a lot of water, right? You can separate out and have fuel. You would always need fuel just in case, but you can minimize it heavily. And then, of course, it'd be perfected and everything. But so now on the moon, I was thinking about, well, why don't you use the railgun technology, right? And how would you aim the gun? You have to rotate it around or whatever, and things so delicate when we first do it. And I'm like, fuck all that shit, So why do we have to aim it? That's so fucking dumb. It's going to be so experimental, and you're going to be moving this massive fucking thing, shooting it up into space or whatever. You just keep drilling down or whatever, right? And just make it vertical into the ground of the moon, right? So it just shoots straight up, boom. So you could you lower down the spaceship, and then like a mortar, right? And then boop 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 boop, it just comes right up. You know what I'm talking about? And so on the moon you could do it. On the Earth, there's so much gravity, but on the moon you could shoot it up significantly high up into the to break the moon gravity, right? And then that's where like chemical rockets will take over and shit like that. But it doesn't have to go far, because now instead of like aiming like where you want it to go, like moving this whole big apparatus of a gun, whatever, you had this really powerful that thing could be maintained or whatever and protected from radiation and the elements and everything else like that. And instead of like having this big, massive acres and acres of thing that just rotates and aims at where it wants to go, so it just shoots straight up. It doesn't have, and it lessens the amount of duration. This where it's going to go, and it's going to go to a geosynchronous space station above the moon, right? So it shoots up this railgun that launches a spaceship, like toot, toot, toot. And the thing is, like, it would have to be kind of long because it's going how only could be 5Gs or whatever, 7Gs before your brain gets squished and all this other shit. So it has to be pretty kind of long, whatever, right? So maybe it has to like go down, loop around, whatever, and then shoot up. You know what I'm saying? That's probably how it's gonna go. So just or maybe it would be like this huge circle, right? Maybe like on the ground, and it keeps going at 1G, increasing at 1G, boom, 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 until because you would only feel that 1G, right? And be squished against a centrifugal force or whatever, or some kind of thing, and then there'll be like a little like um then you put it in like a little like what do you call it, like a Y joint or whatever, right? And it moves into place, and then that's where it just shoots up, whatever. Once you get enough velocity, and then it shoots up. That's probably how you're gonna do it. You know what I'm talking about? So that way, you're only trying to reach that one space shuttle, right? And now, I mean, that one space station above the moon, and that's in geosynchronous orbit below that one railgun that spits out the spaceship. Now you have another one right there, right? Because what a railgun is, it's recoilless, right? So the magnets will push that out, and you have another railgun in space, right? So now you could aim that motherfucker, because how much friction is out there? Well, you know what I'm talking about? It's a lot easier to maneuver, right? And so then you aim that motherfucker, right? And you would fuel it with oxygen and hydrogen or whatever, so it can maneuver whatever. So now you're lessening the amount of fuel that you need to get to, right? So now you have already fuel up there, right? It gets refueled, and now you can shoot that shit out right out Mars, right? Like 80% of the energy you needed to shoot right at Mars, right? And then at Mars it would catch it, because you would it had the rocket engines to maneuver it towards it, and it would just land, and then you repeat the process. You have one on Mars, shoot up to that other railgun, aim it at the asteroids, and that's how you do that. And so you could have it based on electricity. So getting back to the Earth, you could have that railgun pointed right at the moon. I'm talking about, it's recoilless. It doesn't take any kind. So if you shoot it out, there's no like kickback. You know what I'm saying? For every force is an equal force, whatever, right? So it should be fine. But I think it would have to be balanced against the gravity, actually. So you shoot it out, like it would fall towards the Earth. Actually, it's recoilless. My fault. Little force diagram fuck up there. So there will be force because as it shoots out in space, you would have to angle it towards the. You have to wait to a certain time of the rotation of the space station to equal. It can't just be whenever. It would have to be equal and opposite of the rotation of as it falls back to the gravity. I mean, as it falls back against the of its orbit, right? Because when its orbit, it's really falling down. So you aim it as it falls down. As it's falling and orbiting, whatever. So that speed, so you could shoot out. So you get a lot of the energy is not needed for the fuel, and they could probably perfect it or whatever, and how to actually do it. And honestly, like the bigger the space station is, the bigger the mass, and the bigger you could shoot out. So as it falls back, because as it naturally orbits, it's falling, whatever, you just sort of angle it, sort of like you're tacking into the wind, and you shoot it out. So that's bigger. So as the space station grows, the bigger efficiency you will have on shooting whatever object you want out there. So that's a good thing. So I don't. That's really conceptual. It's kind of hard to wrap your head around it, but it is possible. And then speaking of that, how can you have electricity-driven spaceship? You would have to spill Bill Gates about having miniaturizing a nuclear power plant. And that's very possible because we fucking have nuclear power plants that will fucking melt you in half a second. I don't see the point of that. You radiate so much fucking shit, it's just nuts and we don't know where to put it. You get this material where it just warms shit up to like fucking 212 degrees, and that's all you need. 215, boom, done. You know what I'm saying? You don't need, and it won't radiate, and the benefits is it will heat up water to make your damn electricity, little steam energy motor or whatever to produce electricity, and the radiation won't go out through a whole spaceship. It'll be fucking fine because you only have a little bit of it. You know what I'm saying? You have like 100th of it. You know what I'm saying? It'll be like, when you have something, you see irradiated material all the time when it glows in the dark. That's radiation. That's fucking nuclear energy right there, technically. It's decaying or whatever. And that's basically the level it is. You'll be, if you're, I'm talking unless you're like fucking right here. It's like, hold up, let me see if this nuclear power plant's working. It's talking about the motherfucker, you have it behind whatever, you'll be fine. It's not going to contaminate anything. It'll be self-contained. It's just making electricity. It's not this hugely, I'm going to melt down the goddamn planet strength or whatever. It's just heating the water up to a little bit what it needs to go, what it needs to be to move it. I'm talking about, because honestly, you don't even need 212. You just need a change of the density of the water so it flows, and you want to flow it quickly. And if you can flow quickly, you capture that energy, right? And that's will turn the turbine or whatever, because people don't understand. Like if you could have it pressurized, right, and you could expand the water right here, and then by the time it gets over here, it's condensed or whatever, it's always going to push in the circle, right? So you don't even need to hit 212, you just need to have it rotating like that, and the rotation of that water will create an electrical field, creating electricity, right? Boom, done. You know what I'm saying? So you just need a slight change in temperature or whatever just to keep going on, and that will turn the magnets, whatever, right? Creating electricity. And that gets to the other point, right? Where you have another you have like this another railgun on the spaceship, right? And you ever seen those bouncing balls? Boom, boom, boom. And if you have a bunch of balls over here, and one of those balls, if you shoot out, it goes like that. And if you put it on a table, it starts to move. That's all you got to do. You just keep shooting out like that, and you just have it tethered. So that electric railgun would just keep shooting it out, boop, 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 boop. And it could even shoot out like whole sections. Like it just needs a slight change of weight difference to actually move something, right? So if you want a long distance travel, you have that nuclear energy powering that railgun, right? And so it just keeps out shooting out a mass, right? And then it shoots out, boom, it gets pulled back, boom, 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 and it keeps pulling it. You know what I'm saying? So go, and that over time, and very quickly, the bigger the mass, the faster it's going to go. You know what I'm talking about? And it's going to get up to speed really quickly. It's just, you could do it. I'm just saying. The theory's there. It's very practical. The material and engineering, it's beyond me, whatever. The math is beyond me, but it's definitely possible. These are known theories that I read for a while, and it can work. You know what I'm saying? All I'm saying is look at the little ball thing and watch it move across the table. Imagine what it could do when there's no friction. And that's what you do, is have railgun keep shooting out. Basically, you have like a part of the ship, right? And it's just like on this joint, whatever. It's not like you have to shoot out any material. You can even have a kinetic block, whatever. That it's within inside the ship, whatever, and it just keeps firing it back, and it comes back, whatever, naturally. Boom, 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 and it just fire. It just will go. But why have a dead weight when you could fire parts of a part of the ship? You know what I'm talking about? So. And it could even be like to make artificial gravity, like how it spins. So the part of the thing you're firing is like a habitat ring. So it comes back around, comes back around. And in between each habitat ring, there's just this little bit of flexible whatever, I'm talking about, that brings it back together naturally. So it shoots out. Next one comes around, shoots out, come back. Now we can make artificial gravity and push the ship forward. So there's always different ways to do it. But anyways, I'm going to jump off here. So I just want to put my mind to that instead of some crazy ass shit. But people believe it. Like I'd love to joke about it. Well, the problem is people actually believe that shit. You can't even joke about it too more until you're like close friends that know that, I'm talking about, that they don't want to memory hole, gaslight, fucking triggering with this neuroplasticity bullshit or whatever. I'm like, dude, use fucking rationalization and knowledge and truth. But that's how you convince people, man. But I thought I would give a little bit of something to that. Hopefully it will get to the right ears and they could build on it and do a little bit numbers behind it. I'm going to get a game in a little bit. I'm going to jump off about 15 minutes to come back on.